Hey, welcome to my podcast. Still season one of this version. I want to welcome you for joining us. Really grateful you're here with us. Just as by way of explanation, we've had a few glitches scheduling-wise. That's why we've been a little light on the podcast. But it's going to be much more regular from here on out. So that we promise. Good show today. Some of the same content. We're joined by Aaron Murray from CBS Sports, former University of Georgia quarterback. We're going to talk about the world of college football. He was at the Auburn-Texas A&M game this last weekend, which was a pretty good game. He got a chance to catch that Georgia-Notre Dame game too, so we'll talk to him a little bit about that. We'll have some world of sports, which will mainly be college football. And then we'll do our normal. We'll do a little Whambulance. We'll do a little feel-good story, happy trails, and then we'll be out of here, all right? So let's kick things off and head right now to Aaron Murray of CBS Sports. All right, as promised, we're joined now by Aaron Murray, former University of Georgia Bulldog quarterback, high school great down in the Tampa area, by the way, and currently an analyst, college football analyst for CBS Sports. Worked on the Auburn Texas A&M game this weekend. Aaron, welcome.
What's going on? Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you were able to join me. It's curious to get your thoughts on your first College Station experience there for a football game.
Oh, it was fun. First of all, their facilities are, if not the best, some of the best in the country. And the crazy thing is, they got all that Texas money. They have plenty of land. I mean, there literally is a golf course right in the middle of the campus. There's just so much room for them to continue to expand and get bigger. And talking with Jimbo, that is the plan going forward. Is just keep getting bigger, stronger, faster. And yes, they did not win this football game, but it's a young team. They got 6 seniors, 5 scholarship seniors in total. I think they really are building for the future. So it was good. It was really cool to get there, check everything out. Like I said, some of the best facilities in all of college football, if not the best facilities in all of college football. And it was fun. The traditions are great. There's everything they do from the pregame to the halftime band going and doing their thing. It was an awesome experience. It was a great football game. Like I said, this team is going to be a team, maybe not this year, because they're still building, but I think going forward 2020 and beyond, this is going to be one of the best teams in the SEC.
Interesting contrast, especially experience-wise at quarterback with Kellen Mond at A&M and Bo Nix at Auburn, who's almost about as green as you can get, isn't he?
Oh my goodness! But the good thing is, he didn't make mistakes, and he hasn't been making many mistakes when it comes to turning the ball over since that first loss against Oregon. And even one of those interceptions versus Oregon, I watched it and I was like, that's not his fault. That the receiver moved a little late on him and allowed the DB to come in and make the pick. So he's not turning the ball over. It's somewhat vanilla right now, and I think Gus is going to continue to expand the playbook. The more he gets comfortable with it, the more he gets comfortable just playing quarterback within the SEC in college football. He missed a couple big ones. He missed the 3 shots down the field where he kind of rushed it with his feet. He didn't trust his receiver and the speed of his receiver versus safety down the field just to lay it up. We call it air time. You just give it air time. Your guy's faster. He's going to run under it. So 3 opportunities to put even more points on the board, but like I said, he ran it well when he needed to. He didn't turn the football over. He was more accurate in this game than he was in games past. So in week 4, you're seeing jumps right now. You're seeing jump and getting better and better. So if he continues to progress and this defense continues to dominate, this is a team that you have more confidence in when they have to go play LSU, when they have to play Alabama, and then obviously when they have to play Georgia later in the season.
Yeah, they've got some big boys coming up. Whew. And it's kind of fun to watch them just in the context of how much better they could be. I mean, they're one of those teams you look at now and you say, well, they're good now, but man, they could be really, really good. Unlike there's other teams that you go, well, they're just good and they're going to be good for the rest of the year.
Well, it starts with the defense for them and their front seven. And obviously, we know about the big boys up front, the front four.
Yeah.
But the linebackers are extremely physical, very athletic. They got a freshman there, Popo, who is an absolute freak. And then the DBs, that's the biggest, not surprise for me, but the biggest thing I took away from the game is very physical, great tacklers in space, and they're going to play man-to-man coverage. They're going to play tight man, and they do a great job. A couple times, Rick and I were bitching and moaning up in the booth that it was a little bit too much grabbing going on the outside, but really everything you want from a defense. Because if you could stop the run with a light box, and then have guys that can play man-to-man coverage on the outside, you're gonna keep teams to low points. And then, like I said, the offense, I think, still needs to continue to figure out ways to run the football effectively. Obviously, the big jet sweep to Swartz early in the game on the reverse for the long touchdown on that first drive, but the offensive line for guys that have played so much football are not as physical as you'd want, not getting to the second level as effectively as you like. But I think the more that Bo progresses in the pass game, the box should be less stacked against them and hopefully open up some more running lanes for them.
Would you get a chance afterwards? You probably didn't get out of town in time. Did you get a chance to catch the Bulldogs in Notre Dame Saturday night?
Oh, yeah. We stayed and watched that game before heading back to Houston. So I got to check that one out. And I tell you what, that was an absolute scene. And I've had buddies texting me pictures all night Saturday, yesterday, into this morning about the new HD lights they brought out, to just everything about the weekend was special. Talked to Gary and Brad about it a little bit too, and they said it was a perfect football weekend from Thursday night, Friday into Saturday, and the game was great. Maybe a little closer than what many people were expecting, but I like that. It's a good thing to get challenged against another good team. I thought Notre Dame surprised with how physical they played. With how well they played and how close they kept the football game. So props to them. I'm more impressed with them now than what I was before the game, because I just wasn't sure, can they really compete with the big boys? And I think they showed everyone that, hey, we can go on the road against a very physical team in Georgia, and we can stick with them. We can hang. And that was good to see.
Were you're an SEC guy, came out of Georgia. Were you a little surprised at the success of that offense against the Georgia defense?
Yeah, it was. But I mean, one of the touchdowns was off a muff punt. So, and it was pretty much a broken play from there. So I thought, honestly, the defense played pretty well for Georgia to hold a Notre Dame team to 17 points. And really, like I said, 7 of those points came off a muff punt that backed them up inside the 10-yard line. So overall, I thought this defense has been really impressive to me this entire season. And they got a bunch of young guys back there as well that are only going to continue to get better and better. Stokes getting hurt on the first possession at cornerback did not help them either. But I thought it was just a really good performance. Offensively, some people were a little, moaning about, oh, Jake needs to do more. Jake needs to do more. I'm like, dude, Jake was 20 of 26 with a touchdown, made some big throws, some great back shoulder throws to some young receivers and inexperienced receivers. So this offense is where it needs to be. They needed this bye week is at a perfect time for them. They got to get healthy at the offensive line. A couple of guys that are banged up, but I think the progression and the trust factor between Jake and his receivers are growing and growing and growing. And just like Auburn, the more they're able to have a threat of downfield and vertical attack, the more that running game is going to open up too throughout this football season. So I think this team is green at the receiving position. They'll grow. I think the biggest concern for me looking at Georgia is still the tight end position right now. I just don't think you have a playmaker or anyone that even threatens a linebacker or a safety in the pass game. So I think that's something that can hurt them down the line.
Yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts on just the quarterback position in general and how much it has really changed. I mean, I go back. Troy Aikman played at UCLA, Oklahoma and UCLA. Came out of there, went to Dallas. And he's in the Hall of Fame. But when you think about a typical Troy Aikman game, stats-wise, it's almost exactly the kind of numbers that Jake puts up at Georgia. And for that matter, it's kind of the same numbers you put up at Georgia. High percentage, 20 of 25, 195, 220 yards, a couple touchdowns. And he's in the Hall of Fame. He was a playmaker. And they call quarterbacks now in today's game, you're almost a caretaker if those are your numbers.
Yep.
What's going on with it? I know we're in love.
It's hard when you go look at LSU, who's known as not a dominant offense, and Joe Burrow's throwing 6 touchdowns, Tua's throwing 4+ touchdowns every game.
Yeah.
You look out on the West Coast, and Washington State's quarterback threw 9 touchdowns, and you're just like,
and lost, by the way.
Yeah, it's still lost to UCLA, who finally started to learn how to score some points under that Chip Kelly offense. But I mean, that's the problem. You just want to compare, but then and I said it last week I forgot what show I was on, but a win's a win. Just win. Jake knows how to win football games, and Jake knows how to get guys around him to play at an all-time high, because he can put the offensive line in the right position, because he knows where to declare the Mike linebacker. He sees safety rotations. He does enough studying that he can redeclare the Mike to make sure the offensive line's in the best position to pick up any kind of blitz. He's able to change the play to make sure his running back's hitting the right hole. He does all the little things you love to see from a quarterback. And he's playing within the offense. It's not his fault that the offense isn't asking him to throw the ball 50, 60 times a game. That's just not Georgia football right now. That's not the way Kirby wants his team to be built. Will that change one day? It could. But right now they have great running backs, a great offensive line, and a defense that's playing really, really well. Win football games. Don't turn it over. And Jake has never turned the ball over, he's never not turned the ball over. But historically, he does a great job of taking care of the football, and he does all the little things right. So I think he is the right guy for this offense. And he's one of the better quarterbacks in all of college football. He's just not asked to do as much as some of these other guys. But I guarantee if he was asked to throw the football 50, 60 times a game, he would do it, and he'd still be very accurate, and he would throw a bunch of touchdowns.
Yeah, it was nuts during that game. I was watching it in like a sports bar environment, and people there were kind of mumbling and groaning about all the check down passes he was throwing. Yep. And he was taking what they're giving him and not trying to force balls, being smart with the ball. And online, social media is good for a lot of stuff, but when it comes to sports, people get way over their skis when it comes to the running commentary about what's supposed to be going on. Does that at times a little bit, being a quarterback, drive you crazy?
No, I don't think so, because I think Jake's smart enough not to read the comments, first off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And two, I think he understands too that the only person that he needs to please is the coaching staff, because they're the ones making the decisions. I mean, these fans out there on social media, we love fans and we love their support, but they're not making the decision. They're not. What they say is not going to determine if he's going to be the starting quarterback any given week. So I don't think he cares. I don't think any quarterback should care. All you should care about is, does my coach trust me? Do my teammates trust me? And am I going out there and putting enough work in Monday through Friday to go out there and execute on Saturday? And that's all I can control.
Yeah.
You can't control if a fan's happy with you or not, because at the end of the day, you're not going to please everyone. Even if you go out there and throw for 5 touchdowns, someone's still going to be mad that you missed this throw or that throw, or you should have hit this or that. And you're just like, you can't please them.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. Just please your coaching staff and please your teammates.
Hey, you look at the world of college football. The top 10 or so seem fairly set. The new AP came out, and Notre Dame's probably not even going to drop out. The coaches poll came out. AP's later today. But, they're going to probably still be in the top 10. Clemson, Alabama right now, Georgia. You think those are the cream of the crop, or anybody else in that top 10 do you think really could be a snake in the grass?
I mean LSU right now, and that game for me, LSU versus Alabama, is going to be very interesting. To me, it's a coin flip. You got to give the advantage to Alabama a little bit, just the fact that they've won year in and year out versus LSU, and LSU has to get that monkey off their back, and the game's in Tuscaloosa, but. Goodness gracious, LSU, that offense looks tremendous. The defense has been a little underwhelming to me. They have too many playmakers on that side of the football not to be dominating football games. So I don't know if it's just a lack of focus and concentration because your offense is playing so well and you don't think that you need to play that well, or what. But I think they're a very good football team. I think that's a game that's going to be a fun one to watch. And I think Ohio State right now, defensively, they've played tremendous this year, a lot better than I've expected. Justin Fields has looked like he's taken another step forward from what we saw last year at the University of Georgia. The more touch on his passes, the accuracy, the ability to feather the ball over linebackers and safeties to be accurate down the football field. So that's a very good team. Wisconsin, to me, is another team right now that the way they're playing defensively and their ability to run the football with Jonathan Taylor, who is the best running back in the country. Their quarterback is taking care of the football and not making mistakes. That's a recipe to win football games. So, and then Oklahoma. I mean, I think you got a legitimate 6 teams right now, 7 teams that all can make a case to be in the Final Four. And I think they're all really, really, really talented teams. So it's going to be interesting to see when they start playing each other, when Wisconsin has to go and play Ohio State, when LSU has to play Alabama, when Georgia has to play one of those 2 teams in the SEC championship game. They'll continue to knock each other off. And then let's not forget, Texas has to play Oklahoma in 2 weeks. So who wins that football game in that big rivalry?
Yeah. I don't know about you. I thought that we were getting ready to see something pretty special out of UCF. I thought they had a chance to make some noise and make people recognize them. They've got no argument now for any kind of lack of recognition after that loss to Pittsburgh, don't you think?
Yeah, and I looked at their schedule to start the season off, and the AAC is a very tough conference. I like Cincinnati, and that they have to go to Cincinnati in a few weeks, and I kind of like Cincinnati in that football game with their defense. Temple's a good team. They have to go to Temple during the season, so they had a couple games that you look at in preseason, you're like, I don't know if UCF's going to go 12-0, but I tell you what, it's a good Sunday when you can wake up and say, okay, we don't have to talk about Notre Dame being in the Final Four. And then nothing against Notre Dame. I love Notre Dame, and I think they're a good football team, but the chances of them getting in the playoffs now are extremely thin.
Yeah, they can't be gifted in like they seem to be.
And we don't have to talk about UCF and them deserving to be in the playoffs. So I think the rest of college football can now focus on the big boys and allow those guys to start beating each other up to get into the playoffs.
So what's on the plate for you in the next couple of weeks? What games have you got?
So I got so many TBD. I'll have Georgia Tech and Temple this weekend. So it'll be my second time going up to Temple. I get to see what this Georgia Tech offense looks like. So I'm excited to see them and their progression as they continue to build away from the triple option.
Yeah.
I think Temple's a great football team. Obviously, they had the loss this weekend, which was unfortunate, but they look really good versus Maryland. Their defense is tremendous. I think Russo is the big X factor for them.
Yeah.
He can't turn the ball over. They win football games when he doesn't turn it over. This past weekend, he had 3 interceptions, and that's part of the reason why they did lose the game. So good all around team. I'm excited to get up there. I love going up to Philadelphia. I think I got a game in Hawaii in a couple weeks. So
that's not all bad.
Get ready to get my tan on in a couple weeks. Head up there, and then we'll see what the rest of the season brings.
Oh, I love it. Hey, best of luck on the rest of the year. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, Aaron.
Of course, brother. See you soon.
All right, man. Talk to you later. Great stuff from Aaron Murray. Thank you so much again for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. All right, let's go on now to the wonderful world of sports. Well, this week, it's going to be college football for a lot of reasons, but college football kind of dominated the world of sports this last weekend. The other reason is, as I always explain, certain other sports get all pissy if you show stuff or if you use their logos. So I ain't going to pay you, so the hell with you. All right, let's go to the college football world. And we'll start right now with the first game and the big game of the weekend, which was Notre Dame at the University of Georgia. This game had everything you'd want from a big college game. Great job done by Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson and the crew from CBS Sports. The whole open, the introductions with the smoke and the lights off and HD lights, everything about it was just a unbelievable experience. I loved watching it. Georgia did a good job. Notre Dame, I think, played better than a lot of people thought, as Aaron Murray noted. But Georgia's going to be a team. I've got them picked to be the champions at the end. Been wrong plenty of times before, but they look like they could be a factor once they get to the playoffs, once they get through some of these games they've got coming up, and they've got some tough ones. Next score, a team not so close to my heart, the University of Southern California, big upset by USC, beating Utah. Utah is one of those teams, and there's a few of them in the scores here this week. They had things set up in front of them. They had the chance to do something special, one of which would have been representing the Pac-12 in a playoff. It ain't going to happen. A one-loss Pac-12 team is not going to get in the playoff. So they've got one loss, so they ain't going to be in the playoff. Congratulations to SC and Clay Helton. They won that game. Urban Meyer, who's been rumored to be the next coach at SC, was actually in the stadium on the sideline doing highlight shows and stuff. So a lot of pressure involved, and the Trojans came through for Coach Helton. Congratulations to them. All right, next up on our list, pretty fun game. Auburn and Texas A&M. We talked to Aaron Murray about that. You know, Bo Nix on one side, Kellen Mond on the other. Pretty good defense for Auburn. Auburn's going to be a sneaky team. Keep an eye on them. They are, to me, right there with LSU as far as one that could come out of the SEC West and not only give Alabama a bad time, but compete for something pretty special when it comes to the national championship and the playoff format. All right, next up on our parade here is the University of Wisconsin. Aaron Murray told you about his thoughts on Wisconsin. I agree 100%. They've got a quarterback that's not making mistakes and actually throwing the ball pretty well, and more importantly, not to the other team. Jonathan Taylor is incredible. Very good offensive line. Kind of a meat and potatoes team. Not real complicated, not real fancy, but obviously from this game, a hell of a lot better than what Jim Harbaugh and Michigan were putting on the field. And I think they're getting a little impatient. No one's saying anything, but Michigan fans have got to be tired of being irrelevant. And right now, they're irrelevant. Next up is a game that cost UCF millions and millions of dollars. They needed to go 12-0. They've got a tough schedule, granted, but they needed to beat Pitt. They were complaining about not getting respect and they should be ranked higher and all that. Well, if you didn't like being number 15, you're going to be crazy about being somewhere in the top 30 because that's where you're going to end up after a loss to Pitt. And granted, it was at Pitt, but they had looked like they were going to be a special team. And we were wrong. What can we say? Crazy game. All right. And the next game, hey, yes, I got to tell you, this is not Pac-12 basketball. This is Pac-12 football. Now, Chip Kelly and UCLA, 67-63 winners over Washington State. Anthony Gordon, the quarterback from Washington State, as Aaron Murray noted, threw for 500-plus yards and 9 touchdowns. And they lost. Crazy game. I got a chance to see a tape of it yesterday. I love it. I love the fact that UCLA has this in them. Hopefully this isn't just an aberration. But it really cost Mike Leach and Washington State pretty dearly to lose this game, especially at home. Congratulations to my Bruins. I'm happy for you. Now let's see if you can back it up. Next up on that hit parade is a score that surprised an awful lot of people, especially Arkansas people. You think maybe there's something wrong with your football team? You think maybe it was worse than you thought? Yeah, it's bad. I'm not knocking San Jose State. They came into Arkansas, went into their stadium. They took this game away from them. They had a 3-touchdown lead at one point. It was 28-7. So it wasn't like they just egged them out. No, they were strumming them early pretty good. And I've got San Jose State this week against Air Force, so I'll see them in person. But all things being equal, Arkansas, a former power in the SEC, that's embarrassing and it's sad. Two big programs like Michigan and Arkansas losing like that, that is sad. But congratulations to the Spartans. Brent Brennan and company, they needed a big win like this, and they got it. Last up on the list of college football scores from the weekends, just randomly put together by me, New Mexico. Bob Davies still on the sideline, or not on the sideline yet, sidelined. Had some health issues a couple weeks ago. Claims the medical staff saved his life. He'll be back here in another week or so. And they played New Mexico State 55-52. And this is only a remarkable score when you consider New Mexico's an option team. I mean, that's just scoring 55 points normally is pretty crazy. But you usually, when you run the option, you take your time doing it. So you eat up a lot of clock. So if New Mexico State scored 52 points, they had their stuff going on on offense. It must have been an incredible game. I'll get a chance to watch that next week, getting ready for some games down the line. Hope you enjoyed it. That'll be all for sports. Yeah, the NBA is getting ready to start. Yeah, baseball's still going. Congratulations to the Braves. You clinched. Congratulations to my Dodgers. You clinched. All the hoops is going to be going. But it's not yet. So it's still time to talk college football. That'll do it for sports. What do you say we go to the Whambulance?
You better grab your blankie and just squeeze it real tight. These people need to get a real life.
Yeah, we got a story here in the Whambulance that's really not about good people. Just not. Everyone knows somebody or has somebody that has been in a home, a care home for people that are elderly. And when that happens, often there are certain dementia type things that happen to older people. And they're not to be laughed at. They're not to be filmed. They're not to be mocked. They're not a source of entertainment and mirth and merriment unless you're a little bit of a scumbag like these two. Check this out.
The short Snapchat video says Margaret hates gowns with 2 laughing, crying emojis. It shows a certified nursing assistant repeatedly putting a hospital gown on top of an elderly woman while she tries to wave it away. The incident happened last December at the Abington of Glenview Nursing and Rehab Center. Family members say staff knew that Collins did not like hospital gowns and preferred to wear her own clothes. Brian Cortez and Jamie Monteza were both charged with misdemeanor disorderly conduct. Police say Cortez was in the video and Monteza recorded it. They say she told investigators she had recorded video of Collins in her wheelchair once before.
Ah, yes. No, they were charged. You know, it's irrelevant to me that they get penalized or convicted of anything. They are pretty low life, and that's conviction enough for me. You don't pick on an elderly person, especially one with dementia. You just don't do that. Sorry. Well, we all need a little feel-good story. We're going to give you one here right now, and this is a heck of a feel-good story.
This is the good news. This is the good news.
Yeah, this is a quick one, and this will make you smile, and I think you'll really, really enjoy this story about a couple of really special young men. Check this out.
Was consoling him, and he grabbed his hand and walked him to the front door, and we waited until the bell rang and he walked inside the school, and the rest was history. They have an inseparable bond. I fear every day that someone's going to laugh at him because he doesn't speak correctly, or laugh at him because he doesn't sit still, or because he, jumps up and down and flaps his hands.
I was in 4th day at school and I started crying. Then he held me and I was happy.
It doesn't matter, color, it doesn't matter gender, it doesn't matter disability, it doesn't matter anything. Just be kind, open your heart, and that's what we need in this world. One act of kindness, can change someone's life. Can change the world. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Amen. In a world of division by every means, these kids showed what is compassion. And you got to love it. Congratulations, young men. Well done. Well, that'll do it. We want to remind you where to find the Randy Cross podcast. You go to randycross.com, at rcrosspodcast. Go to the Barn Burner. You go Grueling Truth, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, all the usual places. And thank you for supporting us, and pass it along. If you like us, post it. If you recommend us, go ahead. Love it. Go ahead and spread it as much as you'd like. If you don't like it, producer at randycrosspodcast.com is the best place to send your emails. That's producer at randycrosspodcast.com. All right? Let's do a little happy trail of the food failure variety.
So what are you making, guys?
We're making some pie.
You're just going to put your whole foot in there? Okay.